Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Renatus family unite. Welcome to the Renatus J.A.M. My name is Jay Stark. Joining me, as always, is my fearless co-host,
Mr. Matt Snyder.
Mr. Matt Snyder.
It's me.
Dude, welcome to the podcast. Today was kind of an exciting day, wasn't it?
In which part are we talking? Like, in which regard?
I was excited.
Lots of exciting things.
Lots of exciting things. I'm going to have to ask you more about those exciting things here in just a few minutes.
Okay.
But I was excited.
Crap, you didn't ask me what's new.
No. Well, hang on.
I'm hosed. I didn't prep for this podcast at all.
Oh, no. No, not again.
Renatus rocks. We'll see you guys.
And we're out. No. It was super exciting because very unbeknownst to me, the other Mr. Snyder came into the office today.
It's nice of him to show up once in a while.
It's been almost 2 weeks since we've had Bob Snyder in the office, and he just walked in today. I thought he was going to be traveling back from Dubai today, and that he'd be in the office potentially tomorrow.
I thought he'd be asleep.
Well, that was definitely a possibility as well.
Yeah, he's been, partying in Dubai for 2 weeks.
I can't imagine going through a 10-hour time shift and then less than a week and a half later going through it again.
Yeah, that's got to be brutal on the system. I'm sure science will figure out it takes off like 10 years of your life on the back end, right? Like that's got to
mess you up.
It's got to do something.
Yep. Yeah, the circadian rhythms that everyone goes through. And anyway, So, Mr. Snyder, what's new and exciting?
Well, now we're just off the cuff, Jay.
Well,
after that one debacle, we always talk about it because you caught me off guard that one time.
And apparently I've done it again.
I knew. No, this one I got. So we've got we've got several things coming up.
Okay.
It's not this weekend, but the next is a Chicago Regional.
Oh, Chicago.
And we've also got the 10-day on October 19th that we've talked about.
Yeah, buddy. So let's not gloss over the regional real quick. Let's pop back to that.
Let's not. Yeah, we want to talk about that. So we've got, we had Scott, Nancy, and Bob T on the Founders Live to talk about it.
Yes, we did.
Who else is going to be there? I mean, my dad's going to be there. It's going to be really cool. So,
yeah.
You're going to want to hear that.
Absolutely. And this is an all-new training that's coming across the regional. So the Bob and Scott have been traveling around doing the Mega Reunion Tour and absolutely lighting it up everywhere they've gone, right? Mm-hmm. And this next time, I think they're going to Denver over the 28th to the 30th of October.
Okay. Yep. Okay, yeah.
And so they're going to be there.
That's right.
But the training that's going on at the Chicago Regional is all new. It's all new training, completely different than what's being trained on at the Mega Reunion Tour.
What are maybe Aaron can get it up. I know I saw him. He's walking back, so we'll give him a sec. But maybe he can pull it up and up there. Look at
Bing.
that. He's on top of it. So, 28th through the 30th is Denver. So, October 22nd through 23rd, though, we've got Chicago Regional.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So what's the difference between a regional and the Mega Reunion Tour?
For me, the award ceremony, but
it's huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge.
There's also, there's a lot more training, I think, involved in a regional, and so, it's more. I think because I've never been to a mega tour.
What?
Yeah, well, I will. Salt Lake's on the map.
November
4th through 6th. We're gonna do this. But there's a lot of personal growth, I think, that takes place through a regional.
Yes.
We talk about, that's where the business goes from your head to your heart.
Yep.
I look at nationals and regionals in that regard.
Yeah, they're kind of two different animals.
They are.
But like you said, it is where the business goes from your head to your heart. It's where people really become converted to what Renatus is. And not just understanding, the comp plan, not just understanding what's offered, but understanding why.
Yeah. Yep.
Why we do these things.
Why. And I think, I guess it's not an income claim. I can probably say it, right? Like, but
I'm going to just disclaim right now that,
yeah,
individual results are based on individual efforts, and your results will be different.
I guarantee you. No.
Don't. Oh, my gosh. Chris is going to come running in here, and you're going to see Matt get tackled off frame.
No, but I just generally do see when people, after regionals, that market explodes.
Oh, yeah.
Orders go into the system. People get excited, and I think there's something about that that we just maybe don't talk about enough, right?
Well, and for people that have never experienced it, it's hard to describe. It's hard to put into words exactly the change in momentum that occurs after a regional.
Yeah.
And so all we can do for those people that have never been before is say, trust us. It's an amazing opportunity where you're going to feel an excitement and gain a level of emotional understanding for what Renatus is.
That's where that's exactly it. That's where the excitement comes from, right?
Right.
It's not meaningless excitement just to be excited.
Right. And there's nothing like fabricated about it because the regional especially is a 100% authentic, heartfelt event.
And you kind of have to go through that, I think, to really understand that.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget my first Salt Lake Regional, down here at the school.
Slick.
Salt Lake Community College. Yeah. And that was such a powerful event. And I walked away and I was like, I'm marketing, man. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I did really well the next year.
Nice.
I don't know how much I could say.
Well, let's call it that. Let's leave it at that and move on. But so the Chicago Regional is coming up next week.
Yeah, it is.
Next weekend. So if you're anywhere in the area of Chicagoland and can get there, that would be a dynamite investment of your time to really learn how to man, I want to say like just turbocharge your business, but it's really kind of like it's like a shot of NOS almost, right? Your engine just gets revved really hot, really quick.
Yeah.
And then you can maintain that momentum from there. But it's a great opportunity for sure.
Yeah, it's a great boost.
Yeah. So then we've got the Mega Reunion Tour right on the heels of that in Denver for the 28th through 30th, and then Salt Lake after that.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have seen it's popped up a couple of times now with the calendar there.
Yep.
And those are going to be awesome events as well. We've heard a lot about that. But what else is new and exciting?
Well, so we've got a 10-day coming up October 19th.
Oh, yeah.
And what I particularly love about this 10-day, are we going to talk about what comes after the 10-day?
Yeah, let's talk about what comes after the 10-day.
Right.
Nobody actually knew before this past 10-day challenge started what the other ambient award was.
Yes. So, you put in 10 days, Bob Snyder's going to give you 10 weeks. Right. And so that is really cool because right after this 10-day challenge ends, the first week of him doing a call for everybody who's completed the 10-day challenge starts.
So when you say
10 weeks.
When you say he's going to give you 10 weeks, he's going to give you a coaching call, a live coaching call once a week for 10 weeks.
For 10 weeks.
And this is intended only for those people who have completed the 10-day challenge.
Right.
The conquerors, the Spartans.
First 10-day challenge and second, you must have finished a 10-day challenge by the time this call starts.
Right.
To be a participant of this.
So that's going to be on November 2nd. So if you've completed the 10-day challenge, you can look forward to getting an email from yours truly, and I'll let you know what the details are on that event, how we're going to broadcast it. It's going to be a Zoom event, so we're going to share those links with you and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to be coming up as well.
Boy, we're getting about to the time of year we start talking about ICM renewals.
Oh man, that's right on. That's coming up December 1st. We start pushing pushing for ICM renewals. Make sure that that's on your mind as we come up on December.
Sweet bonus, if you're not already in ICM and you're thinking about it, do it now and you'll get all of 2022 for free.
That's right, at no additional cost. Let's say that, because we are going to require you, if you signed up today, we will require you
$197 today.
Yeah,
and then you'd have to renew for January 1.
So that means you'll have to sign the new ICM agreement and everything.
But there's
no more dollars that are collected on that for 2022.
You got 2022 as well.
So another exciting adjustment that we've had about 10 days ago, Facebook decided to just lay down and take a nap for a day.
Yeah.
And as a result,
Facebook.
As a result, we say over a Facebook stream. As a result,
please don't cancel us.
As a result, we decided to post the Founders Live on Zoom. So we hosted it on Zoom like 10 days ago and had so much fun doing it the first time that we decided, let's try it again. Well, we did it a second time, had a great time, so we're going to continue to do that. So we're going to host it live through Zoom, and you could participate, be a live Zoom audience member if you want to, or if you really enjoy the Facebook live stream, you can watch it there as well. We're going to broadcast both places at once.
I love it.
Yeah.
I quite like doing it on Zoom and then broadcasting to Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
So you kind of, if you want to, you get the best of both worlds, I think, but I quite enjoyed being able to see everybody and interact and
having
say
people
hi
just waving and being happy and
it's cool.
That. Love it. And it was especially fun as we were announcing the set of 10-day challenge conquerors, seeing some of those people that were on the line as we said their name and being able to see their excitement, their expressions. And
shout out to Lisa Jardin.
Way to go, Lisa. Yeah, that was awesome.
She crushed the 10-day, and it was fun because I, as her 5-star, I'm particularly watching to see as you're going through the list.
Not that Matt is biased at all.
Not that I'm biased, but as you're going through the list of who did the 10-day, and it was fun to see her reaction as she
pretty
awesome. Got recognition for that. So
pretty awesome. So the Founders Live will be on Zoom as well as being broadcast to Facebook Live at the same time.
Yep.
And it's just a lot of fun. So you guys can look forward to getting an email about that and finding more information as we move forward. What else? Anything else new and exciting?
Boy, we got Fort Lauderdale coming up. That sounds nice. Weather's turned here.
All right.
So.
Yeah, the weather's starting to get a little bit colder where we're at. I'm not sure.
Phoenix in January sounds like a nice place to be.
Everybody else is going to have the same. If everybody else is experiencing a little bit of a cool down across the U.S., but we are definitely here. I want to turn the time now a little bit. So Matt and I were talking earlier about who we'd bring out as a featured story or featured guest on this Renatus J.A.M. and I asked if I could interview him. You may or may not know this, but Matt does a series that he shares every week on our pack call that we've called Good Vibrations.
Yep.
And you've actually shared a few of them on Facebook as well. We've had a number of them on Facebook.
We used to be better at putting them out on a regular basis onto Facebook, and then COVID kind of killed that, I think. And we'll probably ought to bring it back. But I've done a few on the Founders Live. I think I've done 2. On the Founders Live.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, this past week you did one.
I did.
How'd you come out? And
talked about Patrick Bet David.
Yeah, Patrick Bet David. What a
cool
great story.
Great story. Seems like a great guy.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we should have him on our podcast.
We should invite him.
This is an official invite. Patrick Bet David.
Patrick Bet David.
You want to come on to our podcast?
If
You're
anybody,
welcome, my friend. I'd love to have you.
If anybody has a connection to Patrick Bet David, you just give him a little shout out for us and say, hey, you could be the very first billionaire on the Renatus J.A.M.
I don't think he's a billionaire.
I don't know.
When I looked it up, it said his net worth was like $150 million.
Oh, I'm sorry. You could be the first 150 millionaire on the Renatus J.A.M.
It's true.
Not to overstate income. Sorry. My apologies.
I don't know. It's the internet. Who knows what it really is? I always think that when I look them up, I'm like, but I mean, it's probably a good approximation.
Right.
But, any of these net worths.
So. Yeah, dollars in the account is not the same thing as what your net worth is.
Net worth, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why I brought up good vibrations, though, is because Matt talks about all of these people that have put good vibrations into the world, that have done a lot of positive things, that have overcome incredible odds, challenges, or set world records, or just...
in some form or fashion, they overcame hurdles, trials, or things in their life to succeed at whatever it may have been. Whether it was like Kylenard climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, he's a quadriplegic, or not a quadriplegic, but he was born without all four of his limbs. He has basically to the elbows on his arms and then to the knees on his legs, and he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
They had to create like those custom little like boots that he put on each.
Yeah, and so when I say he climbed it, I mean like he climbed it, right? And so, so that might be a success story or something like that we would highlight, like the Iron Cowboy doing the 50-50-50 or 100 now. He's done the 100 triathlons in 100 days. Yeah. Or somebody like Patrick Bet-David, who is a entrepreneur, wanted to create financial success in the world and better the world for others. Like he's
an immigrant who came to the United States.
Yeah.
He graduated high school here with, what was his GPA?
1.8.
1.8 GPA.
Yeah.
Which is not a stellar GPA. And then went into the military, the armed services, for a little while.
That's right.
Came out, decided he was going to start a financial company of some sort.
That's right. Yep.
And has just knocked the cover off the ball. He's found his calling.
He has. Yeah.
And one of the things that I really like and respect about him is his ability to interview people. He is a phenomenal interviewer.
He is. He's clearly worked on himself, and that's another kind of aspect of good vibrations that I particularly love. To find stories of people who work on themselves. It's necessary. First of all, I think if you're going to be a business owner and success of any kind, you've got to develop yourself. He's developed his skills in just being a good interviewer. He's got a YouTube channel now, and so he does a lot of videos and content and stuff he puts out. Yep. It's really great. It's an entrepreneurship channel, so check it out. But
so the reason why I bring this up, though, is because I realized as you were giving this last one that you yourself should qualify for good vibrations.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Okay, I got there. I made it.
I don't know that you made it. I don't know that anybody that you've ever seen would say that they've made it.
Yeah.
But you're definitely on the path. You have come through difficult circumstances. Mm-hmm. You have created massive success in your life and the lives of others. Mm-hmm. And you have overcome just phenomenal hurdles in your life and put what I would call just tons of good vibrations into the world, making a difference in the world, which is really the qualifying undertone of every single one of these stories.
I appreciate that, Jay. I've worked hard to get to where I am,
Right.
I think a lot of times people might not see the iceberg underneath if we're going to use a metaphor.
Right. How many years did it take you to become an overnight success, right?
Yeah. In my life, when I was 16 years old, I started doing drugs and got caught up into that and drug addiction. Went to my first rehab, and as it turns out, they don't let or won't allow you to stay in rehab if you do drugs. Go figure.
Aha.
Nobody told me.
I guess that's one of those unwritten rules. They just assume if you're in rehab.
Actually, no, they were pretty clear about it. I just did it anyways. But so I got kicked out of my first rehab. Went to my second rehab. That one was in Minnesota, so it was far, far away from anybody I knew.
What's the time there between 1 and 2?
A few weeks.
I got kicked not
out.
Long.
Well, yeah, I got kicked out of one, and then my parents were like, "Well, we're sending you out of state, man. Like, we're gonna get you away from all this." Right. And so I went to the second treatment facility in Minnesota called Hazelden. If you know what it is. Great program. Great. I was there for 118 days, 6 hours, and 9 minutes, but who's counting? So it was a long 4 months.
Right.
For me, it was a very long 4 months, but a great 4 months in terms of working on myself and becoming better and starting to figure out defects of character and that sort of stuff, right? But I still didn't quite get it,
right.
Coming out of that one. And I relapsed a year later, or a year after I'd cleaned up, right? So it was like 8 months after Hazelden. Anyways, so by the time it was time to go to rehab for a third time, I know my parents were kind of like, we don't know what to do, right? We sent you twice to treatment. We've, all the counselors, all the AA meetings and all that kind of stuff, right? We don't know what to do. So that was kind of when it became my problem.
Right.
The onus became, it was on me, right? Like I had to do the work. And when that shift kind of took place, like, oh, nobody is going to do this for me. That's when a lot of personal growth started to take place. I was at a position in my life where I was just unwilling to keep moving forward with what I was doing. I knew that it would result in death or lots of jail time, prison time, whatever, right? Like, there was just jails, institutions, and death. And I had to pick one, right? And so I went with an institution. And I found a place close to home for me, a rehab that it was actually an outpatient program. I had kind of gone through the detox process on my own, which is not easy, not something that most people could do, not something I could do before that moment. It was just kind of a perfect storm of events for me. But I went through that, and I found the rehab. I went and did you got to do like an interview.
Right.
With the head counselor there that runs the place and stuff, and see if they'll take you on or take you in, and can pay for it, which I couldn't. I really couldn't. So they were going to work with me on figuring out how to come up with the finances, but I'd basically been accepted, kind of pending figuring that out. So with my parents, kind of completely stepped aside from this. I had no job, no real way of making money at the moment.
Right.
Like, I got to get well before I can make money. And so they stepped in and paid for that treatment, which was huge, but also huge, I think, for them and for me to figure out on my own.
Right.
So anyways, I went to that third treatment facility. I linked up with a counselor that I still meet with to this day, right? This was in 2009, so, it's been 12 years. But, it was a wonderful experience because I did the work. I was ready and willing to get to work.
So what I'm trying to think about exactly how to ask this question. Because the pivotal moment in this story is when that switch flipped in your head and you realized that the responsibility was on you, that nobody else could get clean for you, that nobody else could do it for you.
Yeah.
You took it all on yourself. And I want to ask, what was the switch? Like, how did that feel? Was it a dramatic, instant kind of,
No,
1 minute
was,
I'm an addict, the second minute?
Well, no, it was more of a gradual kind of thing. I had gone from being the top sales guy at the job I was working to one of the worst. It was, I had 120 sales guys that I was working with, right? And I was their number one sales guy for 6 months prior. And then I started that was when I started, I relapsed, and then went to the third treatment facility, right? I got fired and things just really started to fall apart. And as they fell apart, my parents really didn't come in to hold the pieces together, right? Like they had in the past, because I think that they had kind of learned that it's not working, right? It's not, they did the best that they could with the knowledge they had at the time. They didn't know,
Right.
They weren't really equipped to deal with something like this, right?
Right.
So it was them just kind of stepping back with all of it, right? Stuff was getting repossessed. My cell phone got shut off. Just my life was falling apart. And they were basically like, you know what? This is your deal. Like, we've tried to do what we can. We love you, but we don't know what to do. And, we know that trying to hold all the pieces together for you is not going to work. So,
Right.
You made this mess. You got to deal with it. And
as a parent, I imagine that's incredibly hard to do.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Those were some tough conversations, right? And there were a couple of them along the way. And so I started to increasingly feel the burden of the mess I had made, right? And I was like, I got to clean this up.
Right.
So at the point that I was pretty broken and destitute and no money, just nothing, like I lost a lot of friends. Like I wasn't, a lot of the friendships and stuff that I had just were starting to, everything was deteriorating in my life. So I just knew. And there was definitely a moment where I didn't remember the day before, which had happened a lot, but there was just, I'd gone to dinner and a movie with my dad, and I didn't remember it at all. And the look I saw on his face when he realized the next day that I didn't remember it hurt. And it was like, this is the last thing. This is it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. So now how do I put the pieces together, right? How do I make the change? And I went immediately looking for rehabs. I started doing the homework and figuring out who's where, what does this cost?
Right.
Where is it at? All amongst the time that I was pretty sick from withdrawals. It took about 3 weeks before I found the right facility, and I felt really good about it, and it was fairly cheap because they had just opened. So they actually opened a month previous to me finding them. And so I went to them and met with the head counselor there. Her name was Melanie. She was great. I think she saw everything I just described to you. I think that she saw that because they kind of were at the time implementing a policy that nobody goes to outpatient without being an inpatient first. I skipped inpatient, went straight to outpatient, which I had also not done in the past. And it's not really a recipe for success, I think, generally speaking. But she could tell my specific situation. It was probably a good fit. So I entered that program, the outpatient program. I was there on a regular basis, 4 hours a night, do AA meetings and such on the weekend. And, it was all that regular drug testing, all that kind of stuff. And I graduated that program after 90 days, but I kept going back. And that was a key part of my success because the two other guys that I started this group with have died from drug overdoses, right? And it's such a... I think if they had kept going, they wouldn't have ended up where they were, right? This is the difference. How willing and how often are you going to show up? I think this is success in general, right? Are you willing to show up every day, even when it sucks, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're emotionally distant or having a rough day, or you're physically just not feeling well, or you didn't sleep good the night before, or whatever it may be, right? are you still going to show up the next day? And so, I love Patrick Bet-David's talked about that, that willingness to just keep going even when it sucks. Because I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched my dad do that. It hasn't been all, what does Kendall Stock say?
Twinkies and ding dongs.
Twinkies and ding dongs or whatever. Yeah. It's hard at times. And that's where people fall off. And those people that fall off are the reason we have to disclaim income, right? Like, it's the truth. It's just not everybody is going to make it. Not everybody is cut out for it. Right? What's your why? How big is that? What does that look like? How often do you think about that why? And, in this particular case, it was deep and it was painful. And I knew there was only one way out, and I was going to hang on to it. So I kept going for 2 years, and I would have kept going still to this day. But the counselor, there was some counselors that shifted. So we got a new set of counselors that ran that group, and unfortunately, they just couldn't really hold that group together. Good people, good counselors. It just wasn't the same now, and it was no longer the healthy environment that I was looking for. It was no longer giving me what I was there to get. And so that's when, I was like, all right, I need to find other places and to get that. Right. So
you've made it now, right? You're healed. Everything's good now.
Oh, I've made it. I'm done. Yeah. No, not at all. That's actually my only hesitancy about talking about things publicly, which I still do, as you know, right? Yeah. Is because, you got to, especially with something like this, you've got to continue to do it. That's why I continue to see a counselor. I continue to go to groups because it's a lifelong deal. And just like Renatus, you got to go to Thursday night presentation. You stop going to Thursday night presentations, what's going to happen to your business? You stop going to church, what's going to happen to faith and testimony and, regardless of the religion, regardless of whatever it is. And, you stop going to the gym, what's going to happen? You got to go. And this is what I mean by you got to show up for these things.
I love how you talked about that. I love how you talked about the small, simple steps that you have to take repeatedly.
Yeah.
And how through that you're able to create success. Success didn't find you. You didn't just luck into this somehow. It's something you worked for.
Yeah. Worked very hard for and could lose in an instant, which is why I say I'm hesitant to talk about it. Not really hesitant, but there's always that reservation to talk about it because I mean, I know people that have had 20 years of sobriety and then relapsed, right? It's like, what happened, right? Life throws all sorts of stuff at you. And that's why I continue to go and do these things, because whatever life does throw at me, I want to be able to be best equipped to handle it. Right. And so, yeah.
I liken this kind of an opportunity or this kind of a situation to running up the down elevator. Right.
Yeah.
As long as you're pumping, as long as you're moving, you're making progress.
Yeah.
Not as much progress as you might want to, or not enough that you think equals the amount of effort that you're exerting.
Right.
But as soon as you slow down, as soon as you stop, it's going to push you backwards.
Yep. That escalator will take you down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I love your attitude of sticking to it. I'm not going to let up. I'm not going to give up because this is something that just means too much to me.
Yeah.
And that's exactly with every single person that you've talked about on the Good Vibrations. If it's the very first guy you talked about, and I apologize, I can't remember his name.
Glenn Cunningham.
Yes. Who was severely burned as a child.
Yeah, schoolhouse fire. He actually was burned so badly he lost mobility of his legs.
The doctor was going to chop his legs off.
Yep.
Because at the time, that was the reasonable response in the medical community.
Yeah.
And his parents,
1920s, I believe.
Yeah, his parents begged the doctor not to. And the way that Glenn responded to that was deciding that he would walk again.
Yeah.
and going out every single day and practicing on the fence and pulling himself up and
you
slowly,
think, and that's just it is thinking about that, because he didn't become a runner till college, right? So he was in a wheelchair and couldn't walk. But this happened when he was 11, maybe 12.
right.
Right? So there was probably 6 years there where he spent rehabilitating and working towards that goal or that ability. He didn't really have a goal to be like a college runner.
Right.
But he had a goal to walk again, and that took a long time.
It did. And his goal was not the results he created. It was his lifestyle repeated every single day.
The effort he did daily. He showed up every day, and he was literally gonna drag himself across the lawn using the fence posts, and started to get just little movement in his leg that he could help push himself along with his legs as he's
and then he could eventually stand up at the fence.
Yep.
And then he
used the fence to help himself stand up, and then he'd spend hours doing this kind of stuff, right?
Imagine thinking on day number 1, I'm going to walk today. And then if he hadn't walked, saying, "Oh, I'm going to give up. It's impossible."
Yeah, the doctors told him he'd never walk again.
Right. And he tried to and couldn't move his legs in any way, shape, or form.
Fell out of his chair. Couldn't move.
Right.
Yeah.
And imagine if he had just given up on day 1.
Yeah.
But you can't give up on day 1.
Let alone, I don't think if you'd have told him he'd be an Olympic gold medalist for running in 1934.
Yeah.
He would have believed you, right? Like, he just wanted something so badly, he was willing to do the daily work to get there.
Right.
And that's what it turned out to be.
And that is one of the foundational truths to success.
Yeah.
Showing up every single day, working towards who you want to become, and then enjoying the success that comes along with it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts about the Patrick Bet-David story is that 90-second piece that he put together. The 90 seconds in the life of an entrepreneur.
Yes, 90 seconds in the life of an entrepreneur, yeah. Yeah.
And where he just talks about, people will only see your success when you've made it. They won't see, how does he put it? They won't see that you wanted to cry every day. They won't see all of the hours that you showed up.
To quit every single day. They won't see all the failures. They won't see all the people who said you can't do it.
Right.
They're not going to see the everyday struggle. Is the point of that video.
Right.
And then, you just look like you made it, and people think you're lucky, or they think that something happened in your life that was different.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is no mystery that we all start at different places in this life. We're all born into this life, and we all start at different places in this life. And that's life. There's no way to make that fair. So, that's just the reality of life. But, I've seen people from the worst circumstances find success, whether that be recovery, whether that, from drug addiction, whether that be, Kyle Maynard, there's another one, born without limbs, right? And doctors said that, that they first of all didn't think he'd live very long, and they also, were like, obviously he's never going to have the opportunities that everybody else is going to have, and he became a high school wrestler who beat state champions. He didn't become a state champion himself, but he did beat state champions fair and square, right? And it's like, how does that work? You'll have to look up the video. Kyle Maynard, Maynard, I believe. But such inspirational stuff, right? But boy, he didn't get a fair shot at life, but he's climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I mean, he's achieved incredible successes in his life.
And we've seen that where you start is no guarantee of where you end.
No.
None at all.
No, it's not.
You could start in the world's best circumstance and end up in a horrible one, or you can start in a horrible one and end up in the world's best circumstance. It all depends on what you do that's going to make all the difference.
It's truly what I love about this country is that there is equal opportunity. There might not be equal outcome, but there's going to be equal opportunity. You're going to have the freedom. Patrick Bet-Davids talked about that. Shahid Khan, who I also did a Good Vibrations on, started, what is that bumper company? He became Toyota's exclusive bumper manufacturer in the United States.
Yeah.
But he immigrated to this country. The one before that, gosh, I wish I had the list in front of me because she had escaped one of those Russian countries, one of those, I cannot remember which, but it was in turmoil as she was a little girl. Her house got blown up. They came to the United States as refugees, and she created incredible success in her life.
Yeah.
There's just so many, and I love that you have that ability, you have that opportunity, particularly here.
Right.
You could do it anywhere, I think,
and
generally speaking. But
some people start on higher ground. Some people start with better opportunities right out of the gate. But nobody can define our determination. No. Nobody can determine our why and do it for us.
No.
And so that's the key right there.
Yeah.
And I love, James Lawrence, when he came out during the national conference a couple of years ago, he said, and I didn't realize this wasn't his quote. He actually took this from someone else, but he said something to the effect of, when your why becomes big enough, it will overcome almost any how.
Yeah.
And just like you said, when I got to that point when I knew that it was, what was it, death, jail, or institution?
Institutions, jails, and death, yeah.
You just got to pick one and go for it. And every single day, even when you struggled, your why was ever present. And because of that, you were able to overcome your how. You were able to make these phenomenal changes in your life and come out actually better on the other side.
Yeah. Well,
and I
have a incredible gift, or I would call it a gift that has been given to me, or a blessing of sorts, but being an addict, I now have to work on myself for the rest of my life. If I take my foot off the gas pedal, that is when relapse happens.
Right.
And for me, I look at that as life and death. And so I am constantly working on myself. I'm always trying to find the thinking errors and the I can't say it on this pod, the bull crap, as they say but like you got to find that stuff and correct it, or else it will destroy you from the inside out. And everybody has that. It's just addicts have to do it.
Well, I think that anybody who wants to have success has to do it.
You do.
You have to be disciplined in moving forward, or this life will push you backwards.
Every success story that I've seen, including Good Vibrations and just, Renatus and all the people that have been around real estate, marketing, or otherwise, that have achieved success, they all work on themselves. And the ones that I can tell particularly work hard, they do work a little extra.
Yeah.
You see them get mentally healthy.
Yeah.
Because not everybody, even though they're working on themselves or find success, becomes mentally healthy, in my opinion.
Right.
And many of the ones that you do see, that they kind of rise like a shooting star, or they're a shooting star, right? They shoot across the sky brightly, and then boom, they burn out.
They flare out. They flash out.
That does happen.
It does.
It's because they're not doing the work on themselves, and mentally and emotionally, and the money just seems to accelerate any problems that they may have in their life, right? It's weird. But anyways, I can think of quite a few, even currently in Renatus, that work on themselves and become mentally healthy. And I hang out with them, and I'm like, man, you are somebody I want to spend time with.
Yeah. And anybody who is that deliberate and conscientious about their improvement, they're going to see success. how they define that success may be different.
Yep.
Right? Some people may see it in dollars. Like you said, other people may see it in clarity, may see it in just how they move forward. But man, I feel like I can't stress that enough.
Just show up.
I
think if you're going to take anything from this podcast, anything from all the success stories that I've done, good vibrations, and we probably ought to I got a whole bunch of them that we've never done, like on Facebook or any kind of public forum.
we should totally,
because we do them on the pack call, but we
should get those up, man.
Just good stories, and there's so much to be learned from them. I think I've done over 80 of them now, 85 or something now.
And each one of them, I mean, you can draw these similarities of truth between every single story.
You can.
Where it comes down to, it comes down to showing up.
You just got to be willing to show up and do the work, even when it sucks.
Especially when it sucks.
Yeah.
And realize that you may fail, but true failure only happens when you quit trying.
Yeah, it does.
So you may get knocked down, and you have an opportunity to get back up.
How many Sylvester Stallones would have quit when they were homeless?
Right.
I mean?
Right.
I'm just going to go get a job.
Right. Or I'm just going to sell the script and be done with it.
Or sell the script for $250,000. I think $335,000 was the final offer that came back, and he still said no. He's homeless, and somebody's offering him $335,000, which is probably equivalent to $1 million today.
Yeah, this was back in the 70s.
And so it's probably $1 million a day. You're homeless, and somebody's like, I will give you $1 million for the script that you have written. And your dream, in his case, his dream was to be an actor. And
he kept that.
Let it go.
He kept that right in front of him the entire time.
He did.
And that's what we need to do as well. As we are moving forward, we need to keep it in front of us all the time. Bob likes to talk about the fork. He goes, every time that you come to a decision, put your hand out in front of you just like this, holding the two fingers out, and realize that one choice will lead you closer to your goal, and the other one will lead you further away. Which one are you going to choose? Well, I want to go closer to my goal. If you did that with every single choice that you made, how much quicker would you get to your goal?
It's easier to make decisions that way because you take the emotion out of it.
Right.
Right. And if you can take the emotion out of it, or a pros and cons list, I think it starts to become pretty clear when you put stuff down on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they say that's another great way of being accountable to yourself. Yeah. It's keeping a journal. Recording what you're doing, what you're eating, what you know what I mean?
They do, and I do.
That's awesome.
Because again, this comes back to, it's just something that's well known in recovery circles as something that, I guess maybe it is being accountable to yourself. I can't really put my finger on the magic of it, but there's something there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I wrote down a bunch of questions that I was going to ask you. And we didn't go to any of them.
Ask any of them.
No, we didn't even get to any of them.
All right, well.
Because it's been phenomenal just listening to you talk about your journey and talk about how even though you've experienced success, your journey's not over. You're still pushing forward.
I got a lot of work to do, my friend. So you know what? I'm just going to show up every day and do the best I can and work towards it. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I just finished a book on Phil Knight. He's the
Nike.
Yeah, right? Co-founder of Nike.
Yeah.
And the book actually ends with him as an 80-something-year-old man now making a list of what he's working on next.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, this guy.
Well, how many times I think we've all seen people who get into their 80s and 90s and they've worked towards something their entire life, and then they finally start to stop doing that. They let go of those things. I can think of probably half a dozen times I've seen it in their late 80s all the way into their late 90s where they've worked on something their whole life, and then they take their foot off the gas pedal, and that's when they die.
Yeah. Yep, they lose that
I ought to give
purpose.
this up. I'm getting a little too old maybe. Right, I got to give this up. And then they stop, and then, it's like within months they pass on, and I just think there's something there.
Yep.
Like you got to
You got to keep that purpose alive.
You got to be,
You got to keep moving toward it.
So what's your purpose?
Yep.
What's your why?
Define it. Define your purpose.
Yeah.
Because when you make your why big enough, you can overcome anyhow. You'll be able to find a clarity, a focus, and an accountability to yourself where no one else can do it for you and nobody else will do it for you. You do it for yourself.
Yep, precisely. So, man, I can think of so many times where people specifically in Renatus could have given up, where most people probably would have given up.
Yep.
I asked one of them, I'm not going to tell his story for him, but I asked one of them, because I've watched him over the years, and I watched as he particularly went through some difficult times, why he didn't give up. And he told me that his kids, he couldn't face his kids and tell them that he quit. He couldn't be a quitter in their eyes, and that kept him going. That's a big why. It was something that he gets emotional about. You can tell he deeply believes it's something that is very, very deep within, and he's not going to give up.
Yeah.
So yeah, and as I talk to people, it's fun for me to get to see what those whys are, and anyways.
You got to fight for your why. You got to fight for your success, your opportunity, because nobody else will.
No.
And nobody else can make your progress for you. You got to do it on your own. And yeah, I feel like this life is a gift, and one of the ways that we can show gratitude for this gift is to make the most out of it. And we can only make the most out of it as we are progressing, as we're progressing forward, as we push forward continually. If we sit back and just, sit on the porch and sip lemonade all night long,
yep,
we're not giving gratitude for what we are, for who we are, and what we can do.
No, but it's that why that'll keep you on track. Probably I was about 3 or 4 years into recovery. I had some pretty significant health challenges that doctors couldn't find or really figure out for a long time. But they wreaked havoc on me physically.
Yeah.
And if my why wasn't there, I would have given up. That would have been the time right there. That would have been the time to give up, but I knew that I couldn't give up on sobriety. I knew it meant death for me if I didn't, and I couldn't give up on that why.
Yeah.
So,
you've gotten to a point now where you're married.
Yep.
You have wonderful kids. I've
got 2 great kids and 1 turd.
And one that's just
I'm just
all
kidding.
right.
They're all fantastic.
They're all right.
I love them all.
No, but you got the world's best coworker. Just saying.
Yeah, Danny is amazing. Shout out to you, Danny. I get.
Really?
I hope the camera was on your
this
face.
This is the second time today, man. Second time.
Oh, man. You are awesome, Jay. I truly do love working with you. That's, one of those things that I have a lot of reasons to be grateful for Renatus.
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest is that I get to work with you. I get to work with Danny. I get to work with my dad. And I love it, right? Family, right? I get to work with family. I consider everybody here family at this point. Anybody who works here, I really do, because I love them deeply. But I truly love that I get to work with family, and I love it.
Yeah, just for anybody who doesn't work here and doesn't know, every day when Matt gets up to leave, he has to go around and give everybody a hug goodbye. Oh, goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's true.
It's not true.
Sometimes I need a box of Kleenex too. I see you for a whole 12 hours, Jay, or whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
You'll be all right. Well, yeah. Matt, thank you for sharing. Thank you for continuing to push forward, and thank you for everything you do for Renatus. But most importantly, thank you for who you are and how you show up every single day.
Thank you, Jay.
You're a rock star, man. You're a rock star. All right. Well, that's it for us today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again for another Renatus Jam. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. Thanks. Shout out to James Richens and to Aaron Peterson, our monkey button pushers. They do a phenomenal job.
They do.
And don't forget, Renatus rocks.